I'm a little late to the party, but I recently watched the Galaxy Unpacked event where Samsung announced new features of the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Those include the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, a 50-megapixel 5x telephoto camera, and a screen that maxes out at 2600 nits brightness. Samsung also left a lot of stuff out though. The event sidestepped specs and hardware, instead focusing on AI smarts. And that might be a bad thing for you. If you like the previous Galaxy Ultra strategy of all the best specs possible in a premium flagship phone, last year's S23 Ultra still fits the bill and would save you hundreds of dollars used or refurbished. $700 is what the S23 Ultra goes for used on eBay, while the S24 launched at $1,300. The only question now is whether the AI features and other upgrades bridge the gap between the S23 Ultra and the S24 Ultra. So let's talk everything the Galaxy S24 Ultra brings to the table. Let's cover design before getting into the AI stuff. The S24 Ultra continues the general aesthetic of the Galaxy Ultra series with a big boxy silhouette. The front holds a screen that's still 6.8 inches, 1440p plus resolution, and 120 Hz, but now gets as bright as a blazing 2600 nits. The screen is also now perfectly flat to satisfy what appears to be the majority of people's preference. I will say rounded edges on screen still have a special place in my heart, and in the case of the S24 Ultra, they actually dropped the screen-to-body ratio by about 1.5% to 88.5%. The S24 Ultra lays a new Gorilla Glass armor on top of that screen, which is stronger and anti-reflective. When you set this phone next to other devices that don't have the anti-reflective coating, it looks much nicer, and I'd say this is one of the most under-marketed features of the phone. Also, the metal sides of the S24 Ultra are now made of titanium for enhanced durability. The four colors the S24 Ultra comes in this year are violet, yellow, black, and gray. Let's move into AI features of the S24 Ultra, starting with a suite of features in the Notes app called Note Assist. Note Assist can automatically format certain text, so if it's meeting notes, you can instantly arrange that into organized sections. And if it's something more general like class notes, you can break that up into headers and bullet points. You can also generate instant summaries of notes to look over the key points. There's also a spell checker to not only find your spelling errors, but correct them all in one go. Lastly, for Note Assist, you can generate covers for notes. That means Note Assist will scan through the contents of your notes and generate a title and icon, and that'll show up on the homepage of the Notes app to make navigating through your notes more efficient. Jumping out of the Notes app and into the voice recorder, here we have speaker labels, instant summaries, and transcript translations. That first part, speaker labels, means the transcript you get after recording will be split up into sections where different people were talking. You can also instantly summarize the entire transcript with AI or translate it. These voice recorder translations are actually just the beginning of translation features with the S24, so let's talk more about those. There's live translations for phone calls, text messages, and in-person conversations. Live translations and phone calls work how you'd expect, with an automated voice repeating what each person said, just in the other person's language. There's also the option to cut out the original voice of the person you're calling, or your own voice. Similar to phone calls, live translations are available in person, so you can have a back-and-forth conversation using the phone as the interpreter. Finally, live translations are also baked into text messages, so you can translate entire conversations without any copying and pasting to other apps. Bridging off that, there's another new AI feature for text messages and also social media or emails called Chat Assist. This uses AI to rewrite what you typed in different tones. There's social, polite, and emojify. I won't comment on the actual usefulness of Chat Assist in my day-to-day life. Now, there's quite a few more AI features tucked into the camera and gallery apps, but I'll cover those in the camera section of this video. So, to round out general AI features, let's talk about Circle to Search. This is the software feature that seemed the most useful to me during the event, and it basically brings Google Lens functionality to any screen of any app on your phone. If you're on YouTube Shorts and see a lamp you like, you can circle it to see where you can buy one for yourself. Or if you see a plant on Instagram, you can circle that to find out what it is. You can circle just about anything on any screen of your phone to pull up image search results for it. Circle to Search only uses the portion of the screen you circled, which should help with privacy. You can also long press and drag to select text to perform a more traditional text search. This is a very interesting feature to round out the general AI Smart section of the video with, because unlike speaker labels in the voice recorder and tone changing in text messages, This is a Google-powered feature the S24 series has that Pixel phones don't. Now let's talk about the chip in the S24 Ultra, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is paired with 12 gigs of RAM. It's one of the best chips out there, and pretty much top of the heap when it comes to chips in Android phones. It's excellent for everyday usage, it'll hold its own in high-end gaming, and it'll be able to handle demanding tasks now and for years going into the future. It's also worth pointing out the 8 Gen 3 dwarfs the Tensor G3 in the latest pixels by the benchmarks. Actually, the 8 Gen 2 from last year still beats the latest Tensor chip. Google generally says raw power isn't their focus and AI smarts are what they're going for, but just keep in mind, the Galaxies are pushing towards smartest smartphone, so the dynamic between these two is changing slightly. And as for the A17 Pro chip in the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, the 8 Gen 3 more or less matches the performance of that chip, but for the Android side of the aisle. Also, the 8 Gen 3 is the only chip you'll find in the S24 Ultra, which is not the case for the Galaxy S24 and S24 Plus. Those get the objectively worse Exynos 2400 in certain global markets. So the S24 Ultra has the advantage of always having the superior Snapdragon chip to deliver excellent performance. And no better place to mention it than now, the S24 Ultra has the same 5000 mAh battery capacity from last year. As for cameras, the Galaxy S24 Ultra is spec'd out with 4 lenses on the back and 1 on the front. There's a 200 megapixel main, a 50 megapixel 5x telephoto, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, and a 12 megapixel 0.6x ultra-wide. There's also a 12 megapixel front camera with autofocus. What changed here from last year is the 50 megapixel 5x telephoto that used to be a 10 megapixel 10x telephoto. In and of itself, the 5x telephoto is at a zoom level I really like, with enough pixels to keep things tack sharp. And those extra pixels also help replace the functionality of the 10x lens from last year, yielding crop photos at 10x zooms and beyond that look just as good as the S23 Ultra. Every photo that comes out of this phone will look pretty good since this is a solid array of camera lenses. The camera app Viewfinder works in HDR now, so you're seeing how the light will be captured before you snap the photo. Samsung calls this Super HDR, and you can even preview and post in HDR on social media apps like Instagram and Snapchat. Video will also look good, as Galaxies have historically been leaders for video quality on the Android side of the aisle. 8K video at 30 FPS is still here, and looking as good as ever. Also, when you view videos you take, there's now AI-powered slow-mo previews in the gallery that let you tap and hold to see what the video would look like slowed down. And of course, you can jump into the editor to save those slow-mo videos with the AI-generated frames. And as for AI photo editing features, there's Photo Assist, which is reminiscent of the Magic Editor from Pixel phones. You can pick up and move, resize, or remove objects in your photos, and AI will fill in the background behind what you change. There's also edit suggestions for adding background blur, colorizing, or remastering. Overall, camera hardware is looking pretty good on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and it's bolstered by AI smarts that are pretty compelling. Rounding things out, the Galaxy S24 Ultra will receive 7 years of software updates. That's a big deal and brings the 3 big phone manufacturers in my mind, Apple, Samsung, and Google, up to the same level of software support periods. And you'll also have peace of mind for future-proofing with your phone that costs $1,300. That's actually as cheap as it gets. You can spend $1,420 or $1,660 for half a terabyte or 1 terabyte models. To be honest, that $1,300 starting price point is a hard pill to swallow when, like I said at the beginning of the video, the S23 Ultra has dropped all the way to $700 used. And if used isn't your thing, you can go renewed on Amazon for a like-new refurbished model, and those go from $700 to $830. So overall, the Galaxy Ultra has historically been about all the best specs in a big boxy package with all the cameras. That's still the case this year, but there's a slight change of strategy with Samsung's new AI approach. Because of that, now would be a great time to get an S23 Ultra and save hundreds of dollars. At the same time, if you want the latest Snapdragon chip and the brightest screen, and maybe you see the vision with all the AI stuff, the S24 Ultra isn't a bad phone at all. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more quality tech videos, and I'll see you later.